TCP Nation, I don't even know what to say. When you meet a guy named Crockett Carothers, you got to put him on the podcast, especially if the podcast is named The Cowboy Perspective. So welcome to the show, Crockett.
Thank you.
I've been keeping up with you a little bit. And a matter of fact, something you did taught me something. So I appreciate that. And maybe we can bring some of this education to the TCP Nation, anybody else that happens to come across this content and listen.
Yeah.
Before we dive into all those lessons you taught me, who are you? Where'd you come from? Just like this quick introduction to say hi to everybody so they know who you are.
Okay. I'm Crockett Carothers. I live in Gatesville, Texas. I was born there. Went to school at Tarleton State. Graduated there and never really used my degree. It was in animal production. And pretty much just day worked and went to different ranches and did whatever I could. Hauled cattle, worked at sale barns. And then 30 came, I guess, hit me kind of hard. Started realizing that maybe I needed to do something else with my life that would provide a little bit better for my family. So started listening to podcasts, reading books, and really just kind of searching, and found life insurance was the first thing I found. So I've been selling life insurance for a couple years now, and recently got into credit card processing also. And that also allows me to still ranch and run my own cattle and day work a little bit. Get to do what I love.
Yeah, me too. I don't know why I just said me too. I don't sell insurance and I don't sell credit card processing. But the me too comes from I live a life in which I still get to do some of that cowboy stuff that I love so much, horseback riding, working cattle with other cowboys who we talked about it a little before we hit the record button everywhere. Cowboys that just tap, 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 tap perspective into me multiple times, over time, over years, sometimes decades. My parents, my dad for sure. I mean, I don't even know why I'm saying dad, mom and dad, both of them. Over time, just tap, tap, tap this. Think about it like this a little bit. Well, I'm stubborn. I don't want to. I want to think about it just like I want to think about it. And that, I think, is a key. It's one reason I like doing the podcast. Everybody watch this little fly. We got a fly here in the studio, and he's kind of hanging out on my hat. Y'all keep up with him. All right. So tell me a little more about your family. Like, what'd your mom and dad do? How is it that you end up being a day working cowboy? For those who don't know what day working cowboys are, it's a guy or girl who makes $100 a day for coming and just doing whatever is available on the ranch that ranch manager might need or ranch owner. Mm-hmm. So how did that come to be a part of who you are?
Really just trying not to get a real job. I grew up, my family's ranched, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, it's been in the family for a long time. And so I grew up in that atmosphere around horses and cattle and everything, and got to rodeoing when I was young. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. I thought I could, go rope calves professionally and make a living out of that. And got into it in college, and then you kind of get in the real world and have to pay bills and things like that, and realized that, maybe I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't going to put forth what it took anyway, and didn't have the backing to do it. So I just kind of started working, wanted to, kept my eye open for what was out there. And then that kind of found me because I already knew horses, cattle, stuff like that, and then started falling into some jobs where I could go do that and get paid and get a guaranteed paycheck. And I was like, man, that's awesome. I still get to go do cowboy stuff, but I get a guaranteed paycheck at the end of the day.
Yeah, that doesn't happen at the rodeo pen, does
Yeah.
it? At the rodeo or the calf roping or team roping, there's not typically, unless you get to the really top kind of organizations, the American, I think, if you get there, you're going to get paid. But PBR too. But guaranteed paycheck was good.
Yeah.
By the way, we got to, so you know my cousin Lane, my cousin Wes. Have you ever roped out here at Charlie Sider's barn or Ryle Smith's now?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get Charlie on the podcast, so I try to mention him every time.
That would be entertaining.
Like almost every episode, I'm like, by the way, don't you think it'd be good to get Charlie on here?
We've heard a lot of his stories after the jackpots, and they're pretty entertaining.
I started roping at Charlie's house when I was probably 14, 15, 16, something like that. We'd rope calves till 2 in the morning, 2 and 3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be back at work at 5 in the morning. I mean, like for years. So that taught me something. Like, I'm like, holy moly, this guy gets after it.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up building a big welding business, and I learned so much from him. And his sons, Chad and Clint. I mean, I learned a lot from them. They kind of just took me in as part of the family and helped me chase that dream of calf roping. And I really want to just get him on here to tell those stories and to also say thank you. Because part of this podcast is me doing that with those people that have taught me stuff. Like, I'm saying thank you for telling me to go read that book about infinite banking or being my own banker. By the way, everybody, if you think I sound a little stuffy, I do. I am stuffy. So I apologize for that. But Crockett had a chance to come over, get to the studio, and I wanted to certainly have the conversation. So it's kind of a cowboy perspective. Little old stuffy nose ain't an excuse not to show up and get it done. So that's what we're doing. Okay, cool. You got any siblings?
Yeah, I got 3 brothers.
Okay, where do you fall in the lineup?
I'm the youngest by far. My closest one's 10 years older than me, and my other 2 are about 20 years older than me. So they're half brothers. I'm the only one with my mom and dad.
All right, cool. I mean, I guess you thought like I better clarify that because he's fixing to say, "What the heck?"
Yeah, everybody's like, "Oh, you're an accident."
There's no accident.
Mm-hmm.
God doesn't make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ask me, there's a big reason all that happened just the way it did. But it creates a valuable understanding for me. Like, okay, cool. You got some really different perspective in life than I do, because I got one brother. He's my younger brother, 3 years younger than me, and we grew up like fighting and all those things.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't really have that same experience. So to me, that's kind of fun. There's going to be some things in this conversation that come out because of that. You live that perspective. It is where you generate your opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to fight over our opinions. I think that's ridiculous. Our opinions are the only thing we have, and they only come from our experience. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you what it's like to grow up in inner city New York. I got no clue. That's not where I grew up. But I can tell you a lot about what it's like growing up in rural, small town America, Texas, on a ranch. Mm-hmm. I think I can teach people from that perspective. I know I can learn from the perspective of somebody that grew up in a way different situation than me. So that's what we're trying to do here. You and I probably grew up in similar places, but we do have still differences.
Yeah.
Siblings and that kind of thing. This thought just crossed my mind. Like, can you remember your favorite horse? Do you still have him? Her?
Yeah, probably. He was kind of known throughout the calf roping world, just in our area, I guess. But he was really good. We called him Buck. He's a buckskin horse. He's grayed. We still have him. Got him when I was probably maybe a freshman in high school or something. Bought him from an old man. he was a heel horse. He had rotator cuff surgery, and so he was selling his horse. Bought him for $5,500, if I remember right. And I started roping calves on him, and he was kind of and I was heeling also, so I was doing that. Got him roping calves, and he was kind of I practiced on him, kind of tuned on him. He wasn't my main horse though. And then I think I had a horse get hurt or something like that, and it was time for him to step up. And I mean, he just shined.
Turned into
had a huge
A-team easy.
Had a huge stop. Really accelerated my level of roping. I never got professional level or anything, but I could compete in the average ropings. I could compete at some amateur rodeos and stuff like that. And he just really, really opened some doors for me. And looking back, talking about there's no accidents, God, puts you on the path. But I got to where I wasn't roping, and I realized that my dreams of going and pro rodeoing probably wasn't going to follow that path. So I was like, I'd been offered some money for that horse before. So I was like, okay, going to sell him. And he's never been sound since then. He had some soundness issues. We kept trying to get him legged back up, get him looked at, so I could sell him, and pursue something else. And that never happened. Now he's just a $high horse retired at my parents' house, just fat and happy.
Yeah. Oh, man. I love that story. I got a horse at the house that's training my daughters how to ride, and he's a $high horse that could have been sold a couple of different times for pretty good money,
mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't trade it. Sometimes there's no money that could get you the same thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now let's talk about, because I got some questions. You're acting like, okay, now tell everybody where they could come find your content.
Just Facebook, Crockett Carothers. And then on TikTok and Instagram, I'm at the real Crockett Carothers. Also, my TikTok handle is The Wealthy Cowboy, and I hashtag most of my stuff The Wealthy Cowboy, so you could search that and find a lot of the content also.
What is wealthy?
So I actually got that from Ryan Pineda, and I started listening to his content and podcast and everything. He's a real estate investor mainly, and he started branding all his stuff wealthy, and I just got to thinking about that, and he has the wealthy way, the wealthy investor, the wealthy kingdom, and his goal is to tie it all together. Your whole life, your personal life, your business life, your relationship with God, all that, and really be wealthy instead of just pursuing a business pursuit or pursuing one thing and putting it all there, and then the whole rest of your life goes bad, goes to shambles. You may get rich in business and lose your family on the way, but just keeping all that together. And the wealthy cowboy, I think just being a cowboy, a day worker cowboy, a rodeo cowboy my whole life, and never knowing about money, about my nutrition, about what I was eating, about fitness, never thinking about that. I want to kind of bring all that together in a way that a day working cowboy, a rodeo cowboy, a cowboy will consume that content and like you're saying, just tap that in, just put it out there, and then hopefully somebody finds it interesting and shares it out and wants to better themselves and go down that path.
Yeah. I mean, none of us are the expert of all things. You know? We're trying, really what the cowboy perspective is all about is saying, hey, here's some stuff. It's worked for me. Like, it's helped me build business. It's helped me build family. It's helped me build faith. All these things. Check it out. Put it under your hat. Think about it a little bit. It might be something that worked for you too. So I think the Wealthy Cowboy is another kind of endeavor in that same vein. So that's another great reason that I'm really glad we're talking. Wealthy, rich, successful, like just start throwing out these words. It ain't about the money, folks. Jim Carrey has this quote, something like, I wish everybody could be rich and multi-billionaire, like a billionaire and famous, and wake up and realize that ain't what it's about. Look, I think I love the game of money, the game of business. I love it. I like competing at it. I like getting better at it. I like learning it. I like the freedoms having money provides. So I'm not saying go be poor, people. I don't think that's the right way to think about it either. But just totally understand being a billionaire is not going to give you joy.
It's just going to amplify you.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. It's going to, and you hear, that's all I listen to. I listen to a lot of business podcasts and read business books now, and a lot of them say the same thing. It's kind of the law of diminishing returns. Once you get to a certain point to where you can do whatever you want to, you have all the freedom that you want, then you really don't need any more money. What a lot of people that I listen to, that I look up to, what they're doing it for is philanthropy, giving back. Their perspective is, if they can go make $10 million, they're going to do it so they can give back. Give back several $1 million.
Yeah. You ever heard of a guy named Alex Hormozy? I was watching something. He was saying somebody he was paying attention to, maybe at a conference that he was speaking at, but somebody was speaking before him. He kind of got up on the board and wrote $1 million and said, "Ma'am, how much money do you make?" She said $50,000. So he wrote $50,000 up there. Then he subtracted it. That's $950,000. He said, "Life is charging you a tax of $950,000 for not knowing how to make that money." Then he's turned it on himself. He's like, well, then I got to think life is charging me a $800 million tax because I don't know how to make $1 billion. So it's all levels. I don't think there is a truth that everybody wants or needs to make $1 billion. I don't. Some people do. Some people will. Some people won't. I want to live the life God has set in front of me and gave me a chance to live. And that turns out to be, I was given some momentum by my family, my parents, my peers, my friends. People give me momentum. Some of it is in education. Some of it's in financial help. Some of it's in let me ride a horse. I would have never made a calf roper if the ranch hadn't let me ride a horse. I didn't have to buy one. And it turned out that horse was really dang good. And I underappreciated him because anything that's free, you don't have the appreciation for. So you don't want it to be easy, folks. Anyways, I'm rambling a little bit. Let's get back to this. How is it possible to get credit card processing for free? Because I'm just like, to me, that logically can't happen.
Yeah. I mean, if it's really not free, just like most things in life.
There you go. Okay, cool. So instead of paying 3% credit card processing fees, if I come to work with you, I got businesses. We pay credit card processing fees. You're interested to me. I'm interested in changing.
Yeah.
So where's my actual cost? How does it work?
So what we can do kind of whatever, which is, I really like working with this company, Diversified Payments, and I'm glad I found them. But we can kind of, do whatever works best for you. What the program that most people go with, that the whole industry is kind of shifting towards, is a cash discount or dual pricing program. And I'm sure everybody's seen it before I knew what it was. I saw it in places, and you'll see the sign or whatever of the 3% or 3.5% or 4% fee if you use a card. And I know some people, are going to have backlash as customers, but we're on the side for the business. If a customer has to pay $1 extra, a few cents extra, or whatever that is on their end, on the business end, that since you're a business owner, y'all are paying $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month or whatever it is. So it affects y'all a whole lot more than it affects the consumer who's paying a few cents here, $1 there, a few dollars, whatever it is. And they also have the option to not use a card. They pay with a check or go get cash.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you go get cash out of an ATM, they charge you a convenience fee also. So it's kind of something to, like, we want to help businesses out. We're on the side of the business.
Yeah.
And we also don't want to run your customers off. So we got to make it fit.
We're doing this
there.
delicate dance, and it's becoming, I think you said a very valuable thing. It's just becoming more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
First time I saw it, I'm a consumer of goods and services.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time I go to a restaurant, they say 3 or 4% fee if you use a card, price that you see if you pay cash.
Yeah.
And it kind of happened because of COVID, I think, because people, the prices were just going up so fast. Everybody was like, okay, cool. How can we afford these credit card fees without raising our
fees
prices?
have went up and everything's gone up.
So the facts are, everybody out there, and Crockett, you correct me if I'm wrong, if you consume goods and services, you're still paying the fees. Mm-hmm. Nobody's getting out of paying the fees. The consumer always has to pay the fees. As a business owner, how do you want to pass that cost along?
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody's starting to understand there's that cost. For a long time, I think a lot of people that didn't own businesses, they didn't know there was a credit card fee that the business had to pay.
I never thought about it before.
They only think they have to pay if they have a interest rate on the credit card that they've kept a balance on or something. No, whenever you used it, the business owner had to pay a fee to let you use that card, which, great job, credit card companies. That's kind of a brilliant idea.
They're getting it on both ends.
They made a bunch of money. Okay, cool. Cleared that up. I understand now. So if anybody doesn't understand, watch some of Crockett's stuff. Hit him up. He can tell you more in depth what's going on. I'm interested also in life insurance, dividend-paying life insurance, becoming my own bank. Have we got enough time to explain that? Or what is the elevator pitch for somebody that's listening? And I got to imagine, you start telling this, they work in Cowboys. They're like,
yeah, it's a far off concept.
Yeah, they're kind of like, dude, I'm trying to figure out how to buy my next bridle. I'm not worried about high premium dividend paying whole life insurance. And here again, the skeptic in me says insurance companies are making money. They incentivize their people to sell life insurance because that's the thing they make the most money on. Like if you go to Farm Bureau, I don't know, pick a lot of these insurance agencies, they are begging those agents, they are incentivizing those agents to sell life insurance because that's where their honey hole is. That's where they make all their money.
Yep.
So let's talk about this a little bit. Like, okay, for everybody that thinks I don't want insurance companies to make money. Wait, time out. Everybody has to make money. You need to make money. I need to make money. The insurance companies need to make money.
Good.
So let's quit begrudging everybody for making money. Like it's part of the deal. So if I could be my own bank, that sounds cool to me because I have a hard time signing 5 billion pieces of paper every time I want to get a loan to go do something that I want to do. So how can I be my own bank?
Okay, I want to lead into that and tell you kind of what most people they think of term or whatever they get pitched. If they go to Farm Bureau or wherever, they're going to pitch something. And for me as an agent, I make the most money. The insurance company makes the most money on the cheapest product. So if you want to come to me and buy a term life policy, they pay out less than 2% of time. So if a 20-year-old goes in there and wants a 20-year term for $1 million, it's going to be like $20 a month or something. They're like, oh, yeah, we're good. Well, then when you renew, it's going to be higher. And then you renew, and it's going to be higher. And then eventually you get up 60s, 70s range, somewhere up in there, you're not going to qualify anymore. And
hey, let's just pause a minute while the train comes by. So when you're renewing this, I guess, Dave, whenever I get back to, we kind of jump back in while we're letting this train pass. So when you're renewing, those premiums go up every year. Like it's not a, okay, the train passed. Go back into that, Crockett. Term life and how that structure works, and it's the cheapest. And as it renews up to the age of 60 or 70, it starts getting more expensive because you're likely to die any day now.
Yeah. Yeah, so the insurance company doesn't want to pay out. So when you buy a term policy, they're only going to let you qualify if they don't think you're going to die. So when you get up 60, 70 year range, and most people I talk to in that range have some health problems, you really limit what you're going to qualify for. They come to me and they're like, my term is up. They had a 20-year term that they bought in their 30s or 40s for $500,000, and they're paying $100 a month or something. They're like, we might even bump it up. And I'm like, okay, well, this is what you'll qualify for, and it's going to be less coverage for probably more money. When you go with a whole life policy, it's going to give you less coverage, usually on the front end, and then maybe cost more, or for the same price, you're going to get a whole lot less coverage. So people just look at that and they're like, no, I don't want that. But it's guaranteed to pay out. It's permanent insurance. So your whole life, it's 100% going to pay out. And how that policy works, just a regular whole life policy, how that works is you're kind of overpaying for insurance. And that builds a cash value in there. No matter what kind of whole life policy you have, there's going to be some kind of cash value tied to it. What we do with an infinite banking policy, and infinite banking is a whole concept, and we just use this whole life insurance as the vehicle.
Yeah,
because
like a tool.
It's the most efficient one that anybody's found. So what we do is structure it really backwards, and it's really a money storage vehicle. It's not, you're not going to get the most amount of insurance, because we're going to make the death benefit very small and your premiums very high, which is backwards from what everybody's been taught and seen and thinks of. They want the most for the cheapest. But in doing that, your money's going to grow with uninterrupted compound interest in that account. And when you want to use it, this is how you become your own bank. When you want to use it, you call the insurance company up and say, hey, I've got $30,000 in cash value in there. I want to pull 20 out and go put a down payment on a house. Okay. So they wire that money. It's easy. If there's money,
it's like pretty much comes.
Yeah. If it's in there, they can get it to you in a couple days with a wire transfer. So that money's not coming out of your actual policy, though. Whereas like a savings account or something, if you had it sitting in there, you took $20,000 out, that $20,000 is out. You have whatever's left in there earning your few percent. I know the rates have gone up a little bit on CDs and savings accounts, but they were basically nothing for a while. And so your money's not going to come out of that policy. They're just going to they're going to use that as collateral and loan you their money, their pool of money. Because that's what an insurance company does anyway. They're like a bank. They're getting all this premium in, Well, they can't just sit on it.
Yeah, they got to make it work.
They got to make money. So they're sending it out and buying real estate, buying tax liens, investing in the market in certain areas, buying treasury bonds and things like that they're going to get a return on. So that money's going to be gone doing something, and they just as soon loan it to you for a small interest rate. Usually on these policies, you're going to have a spread between what your money earns and then what they're going to loan it to you for. And that spread is even bigger than the number. Say it was recently 5 and 3, and that's easy to use. So you have a 2% spread. Your money's earning 5%, and they loan it back to you at 3%. So you obviously have a 3% spread there. But
or 2% spread.
Yeah, 2% spread.
Yeah.
3 and 5. You got a 2% spread there. But when you dive into it, they're loaning it to you on simple interest. So, $10,000 at 3% is $300.
Yeah.
So that's all you have to pay is $300 to have that money out. But your money's earning money, compounding over time. And this is just Albert Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about. He was thinking about it, way back then. But this life insurance has been around a long time, and the wealthiest families in America have used life insurance like this.
Yeah.
And you just get uneducated people or people that don't have the time. Everybody's so tied up doing stuff. They don't take the time to educate themselves. They're just like, terms the cheapest for the most,
Well, and their insurance are making all the money. They're just, they're making all the money. There's got to be something wrong here. That the reason something I'm doing here is making them a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think I probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. If they're making money, they're probably putting it's like hiring an employee. They need to make money, but they also make you money.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's okay for other people to make money if it's providing you a thing that's valuable to you.
And that's another thing I don't think I mentioned earlier is on those term and regular whole life products, the agent, me or whoever your agent is, makes the most amount of money. That's the highest commission. That's why it's the most common.
Why do I hear that they're okay? They want you to sell life insurance, not necessarily whole life.
Well, whole life without designing it like this. If you design it backwards with that low death benefit, the death benefit's what the agent gets paid on, gets our commission. So when we take that death benefit really low, even though you're paying really high premium, I don't see that.
Yeah.
So it really lowers the agent's commission, and even though it's a pay cut for me, I'll sell somebody whatever they think they need. I'll kind of push what I think they need, but I'll present the options and let them make the decision. But I try to tell them that there's, this is going to be way better for you. That's why I'm going to make less money on it.
Yeah.
And I want to do what's best for you, and then you can go tell your friends, and then they can tell their friends and all that, and then you can get more business that way by doing the right thing and not just cookie cutter selling everybody that, what makes you the most money.
I think that's a great, and to me, that's how Cowboys think about stuff, or at least the ones that raised me, the ones I've been around. The quick dollar is not really the path to success.
Mm-hmm.
It's really do the right thing for the people, for the guy you're working for the girl you're working for, so they'll tell somebody else that you did the right thing for them. Next thing you know, you don't have enough time to help all the people that are calling you, because word of mouth is like the strongest recommendation known to man.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't know it, but I've been in sales a long time, selling horses, and I've sold feed and whatever, try to make ends meet. And my perspective always was, I want you to be happy and I want me to be happy. I'm going to make a little money, but I want you to be happy with the product. And so I take that into the actual real world, the business world. And that's the people that I look up to and listen to all the time. That's what they do too. You hear, I think in small town America, you hear money's evil and the root of all evil and all this stuff all the time. But it really the wealthy people and the long-term successful people, they're not out to get you. They want to help you.
Yeah.
And they get paid to help you. That's how it works, is you solve somebody else's problem and then they pay
Solving
you back in return.
Solving problems is what makes money flow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it works, y'all. Also, I think my perception is to kick this infinite banking kind of structure off does take patience. It takes saving.
It's a long-term game.
A little bit, yeah, you hear wealthy people use it. Well, probably because wealthy people have some money they need to do something with. Like, that doesn't make it only good for wealthy people. It just means they have some money to save, to invest, to do something with. They don't need it right now to pay the bills.
Right.
Also, I've been there. I needed every dollar I could come up with to pay the bills. No, I didn't. There was $5 I could have saved.
Yeah.
Building that discipline is so valuable, y'all. I mean, I don't care if it's 50 cents. Someday you're going to have 50,000. And if you don't have the discipline to save it, to put it into an infinite banking structure, to make the payments when you borrow that money, make the payments like you borrowed it from the bank. Right? Don't get yourself way upside down, even in your infinite banking structure. It's like in that book, he's talking about, well, if you have a grocery store and your wife comes and takes the groceries out the back of the grocery store all the time because you don't want to have to pay full price, that's stealing.
Yeah.
You don't steal from your own bank.
And that's how a lot of people look at something when you have a family business or it's your own product or whatever. Like, I'll just take this and take it out of the profit or, pay costs for it or whatever. And it ends up affecting you and hurting you in the long run. And it's hard to think about the long run, especially when you're struggling, when you don't have disposable income. And that's another thing why, in listening to all these people and learning all this stuff and getting in these new industries is one thing that a lot of people tell you is you need to increase your active income. Because the first thing I learned about was real estate investing, and it's like, oh, you go invest in real estate and you become rich. But you have to there's ways you can get around it, but ultimately you need money to back that. Yeah. So it's like, go increase your active income first, whether that's a side hustle or completely changing what you do for a living. There's some way, or working harder where you're at and getting promoted. Yeah. But somewhere you need to find that extra income, make some more, and then put it towards the future. Because especially like if you're a cowboy, you can't do that forever. You're not going to get paid enough. It's when you get in your 60s or 50s, or I've seen it, people's in their 40s, they get to where they can barely get on a horse or barely do any work, and you're not as valuable to somebody else then, and they're not going to pay you as much or call you as much, and that's going to hurt you.
You got to have another way to generate income. I'm hoping there are people our age listening and younger who have similar experiences, or who are out there right now in college, grinding, trying to figure out how to go to the next level. These are ways you can do it. I hope you start thinking about building the discipline to go get a whole life insurance policy. I don't care if it's for, I don't know. How low can you go? Will you write one for $10,000?
Yeah, we usually say 10 times your age is what monthly premium you need to pay for that. But I mean, you can get into it cheaper. It's just you're not going to get the full benefits of it.
So maybe,
but it's always
you got to think about the next step. So maybe where you want to be is at the top of that mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But the first step is you got to get some mountain boots.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like really break it down. I was talking to Charmaine James, and she's like, figure out what you want, and then once you know that, you can start putting some kind of structure to how to get that.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what you want, it's hard. It's even with this podcast, people ask me a lot, like, well, why are you doing it? What do you want? And I'm pretty shifty about that answer, or I have been, but I'm getting more and more clear. What I want is to be a resource. I want to be Crockett Carothers' friend that you feel totally comfortable with. I mean, you've been asking me, how do you do a podcast? I'm like, I don't know. I'll tell you. I mean, it's not a secret. All the TCP Nation feels like they can reach out to any guest on here, me, and learn something and have a resource. It's that network that I'm trying to build, that community of people that are like, okay, cool, man. I feel like I can trust these people.
Yeah, if you know somebody that knows something, you don't have to know that specific thing. You're like, I don't have to go learn everything about insurance and life insurance because I can reach out to Crockett and trust. Well, trust, and there's got to be some trust there. Trust that I know what I'm talking about.
And I mean, you could be playing a sales trick on us, but I don't think you are. So I tend to trust somebody who says, I'm willing to make less money because I feel like this is a better deal for you. I mean, I think you should do this, and I actually make less money. To me, I get a lot better feeling about something like that.
I tell people, it usually comes down to the end of the conversation is, well, what do you have? And I say, I have this type of policy and I have this type of policy. I think they're both really good. That's why I got them. There's some other types of policies that you could go with, but that's what I do. So
yeah, totally. All right. So thanks for exploring all that. I hope everybody really enjoyed that. I mean, we're going to kind of now go away from this business type stuff, although there's probably going to be some business woven in throughout. But I want to know what's happening in your cat. I guess I'm staying on business, but it's not insurance and credit card processing. What's happening with your cattle operation, or like, are you running your own cattle? I'm trying to get people to understand. There's Cowboys in the high-rise banks in the financial district in New York. I mean, they're everywhere. So let's talk a little bit about your cattle business. What's happening there? I saw you had some F1 Bremer heifers for sale.
Yeah. What I have turned out long term, I was lucky enough. My uncle gave me a lease that he didn't want in East Texas, and that allowed me to turn out some cows down there. And just with that country, the way it is, I turned out a bunch of horn cows, longhorns and Corrientes, put beef bulls back on them. I recently, last year was tough for everybody, everywhere, I think. So they didn't breed up, so I just culled a bunch of them that weren't bred right, and a few of them were open, but luckily they were bred, but just not in the right timeline. Sold a bunch of those, and I'm in the process. I've bought some, and I'm buying pairs back, so I'll have something to market in the spring. When I make a decision like that, I try to reach out, and I do the research myself, but I also want to reach out to other people that are further along than me, and everybody felt that was a good idea. So I did that. That's kind of my long-term deal, just like straight cow-calf down there. And then around the house, and then I've got some partners around the house that we've bought some Brayford heifers the past several years, raised them up. We calved some out. We've got some bred and sold them. We sold some open and done some things like that. And then also we have some sheep turned out together, some Dorper ewes.
Dude, I got to jump in.
Yeah.
You're after it in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Have you always been like that, or is that kind of came since you started waking up and saying, "Oh, I better start thinking about this a little differently"?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of Cowboys' dreams is to own their own operation someday. So when I got into that, I never thought I would own sheep or goats, but you get into a situation and run the numbers, and you're like, well, I can do this, and it pays a lot better. And, at the end of the day, we're in it for profit. So we got in the sheep. We had some brush around there too, so we bought some Spanish goats. And I never would have thought I'd be in the industry. I always talk crap. A lot of people talk crap about sheep and goats, but being in this part of the world and even further west, it's more prevalent, and that's how a lot of operations make their living, and it's because it's more profitable. So, I'll never not have cows, but if I can run some sheep and goats and it puts more money in my pocket and allows me to go do the things I want to do, then we're going to try that out while it lasts.
Yeah. I mean, you got a family. You got to think about them.
Mm-hmm.
You got a daughter, right?
Right.
They're not cheap.
No.
I got 3 of them. So, to me, I think you're just painting a really good picture of a guy that's out there in the real world living a real life,
mm-hmm.
trying to help others with insurance and credit card processing and through content, but also still working hard at those things that you do, and you grew up knowing.
And I think it's to go along with the cowboy perspective, it's life is perspective. So even though we all want to go, a cowboy wants to go drag calves every day, because that's the most fun thing, or doctor yearlings or whatever. When you go somewhere and work for somebody and you're afoot or riding 4-wheelers or you're working sheep or goats, you're still not inside. You're still not in the office. You're still getting to be outside. You're still hopefully with your buddies or like-minded people. And you can have fun in any situation. I know a lot of people get down and out about working for somebody that's not fun to work for, but you got to look at it like, hey, this is I was telling somebody the other day that a day working cowboy is really in customer service. It's not what you want to do all the time. You're going to go. Your job is to please them. Do it because they sign the front of the check, you sign the back. So if you want to change that, then you got to start working towards your own operation and working for yourself. That's the only way to do it. But it's really day working is sales, and it's customer service and customer relations, and it's a people game more than
Dave,
more than
put
anything.
A yeehaw in there. Seriously, y'all, listen back. I don't know, minute and a half, and wake up. We're all in customer service and sales. I don't care what you're doing. So if you don't develop those skills, and I didn't have them. My
mm-hmm.
parents developed them in me. My bosses developed them in me. The podcasts and books I've read and listened to developed them. Listen, folks, I didn't even read a book. I probably read 0 books until I was 40, and I'm 46 now. So
yeah.
If I would have started, if you're younger than 40 and you just start, you're going to get there quicker. Mm-hmm. You're going to have, I wish I would have valued that more at a younger age.
Yeah.
They say wish in one hand, shit in the other one, see which one fills up first. Well, I mean, my hand of shit was full.
Yeah.
Because I was not doing the work.
It's kind of hard to look at, though, because I want to put content out there that will maybe help somebody younger than me or help somebody older, whatever, but help them realize. But I wouldn't trade, my 20s or, up until I started thinking this way, I wouldn't trade it because it got me to where I am now. It took a lot of staying out all night partying and blowing my paycheck every time I got it and all that. And if I wouldn't have done all that, I might not be where I am now. So.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm not wallowing in the sorrows of being an idiot, but I'm encouraging those listeners that are out there. Shake your head a second and say, am I being an idiot? And if you are, maybe read a book. Maybe, I don't know. If you get started now, the beauty of compound interest is so, I'm old enough now, I see it. 20 years ago when I started doing these things that Dad or some financial advisor just said, start putting some money away.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see, oh, wow, they weren't lying. If you will just do that consistently, it gets to be a big number. So y'all really go do that. If you're not already, just think about saving a little money and just doing it without fail
and
for the next 20 years.
I'm not saying that that's the best way for everybody right now. It may be, I would say start putting some money together and maybe you can start flipping horses or flipping saddles or trailers or something and just increase that income a little bit. And once you get that rolling, then, and you have a sizable amount, then maybe start putting that into an actual investment vehicle. Because if you look at a investment of whatever it is, if you're going to invest in real estate or cattle or the stock market, you're looking at a 5% return or a 10% return or, something pretty good now, 15, 20%. That's not going to make you much on $1,000. Yeah. You're not going to change your life. So I really think that the best thing is to find something that you can be passionate about or get excited to learn about, and then go do that and get paid for it. Try to increase your active income and then start thinking about investments and whole life insurance, infinite banking is not the end all. It's actually meant to go along with you using it with loans. So
yeah,
you can use it to buy a car, or you can go use it to buy an investment property or send somebody to college. Or
I mean, did your mom and dad or any Cowboys you ever been around tell you something like this? Don't go just buy a car with your money.
Yeah.
That's just a depreciating asset. It'll never be worth more than what you just immediately paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of true. I mean, the craziest stuff happened over COVID. Like, I bought a car and it was worth more when I got it than what I paid for it. But I mean, I just don't think that's going to last.
Yeah.
Well, I know it does. It's not going to last. It's not true anymore. But somebody did say they were looking at used cars and they went and bought a new one cheaper than they could find the used ones.
That's what we did. I was going to downgrade my vehicle, my truck, so I'm in the pasture and stuff all the time anyway, so I'm going to beat mine up a little bit more. So I was like, I'll just get an older one. Well, if you get a good older one that you're not going to work on, or even one that you do have to work on, you get an old Dodge or something, they still cost a bunch of money. So I'm like, I weighed the options, and it was go buy a new one for a few $1,000s more and not have to worry about working on it.
That's so true. Let's see. What else did I have? I took some notes here. Oh, I'm flipping through your social channels and such. Do you know Cody and Erica Archie?
Yes.
Well, how about those two? I mean, they're a great little case study to me.
I actually just set him up with a credit card terminal yesterday. They have a dry cleaners there in Gatesville, valet cleaners. And, yeah, it's crazy to think that I've visited him with them a bunch about content creation, and pretty much it was just an accident. They're just filming, doing their everyday stuff on a phone, and one video hit and then another video hit. Yep. And I mean, now he's getting opportunities to go speak places and promote agriculture and go do cool stuff all over the place.
Yeah. Well, that's a little shout out to Bar 7 Ranch.
Bar 7 Ranch.
Cheap ranching. Their content's fun, it's entertaining, it's educational. Like, they do just a really good job of what seems to be this newly invented word, edutainment.
Yeah.
So it's educational, it's entertaining, and it's I like it.
Mm-hmm.
My kids like it. So good job to Cody and Erica. We do this thing called Bacon Bash Texas, where we have this event and we raise money for kids with type 1 and the needy. Well, they came and judged, so I don't even know if I got to shake their hands or not, but I'm the MC of the event, so I'm pretty busy. But they came and supported us, and it was nice to have somebody with that kind of audience, community, eyeballs, attention. You know, really, Gary Vaynerchuk says, attention is the real commodity we're all after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the new currency.
$1 bill. It's attention.
Yeah.
That's what Google's selling. That's what Apple's selling. Everybody is selling.
It's just there's so many, I think, people with bad intentions vying for your attention also. They're out there.
You got to sort that really hard.
Just selling a product or just trying to stir up drama or whatever it is, and not educating. So I try to be real leery of that. I go through Facebook and get to see everybody I know, their current events, but as far as like my other stuff, I try to just consume education and really keep my consumption of social media low. My wife will tell you I'm always on my phone, but I'm always turning. What's the next idea?
I mean, I'm on my phone a lot, and I'm telling my kids to stay off the phone all the time, and they're like, they got to be thinking I'm such an idiot.
I think you need to do it for the right reasons and just be mindful of what you're doing.
I'm trying to be educated about that process. I mean, it is the marketplace these days. It is where I'm going to be better at building trust, building community, building network. Like, that's why they call them social networks. If I don't spend a little time on there seeing how other people are doing it, then I can't come up with my way of doing it.
Right. I think,
but you can get just down in the wormhole of,
conspiracy theories.
Or even just watching. I love like little prank videos.
Yeah.
They'll serve me this ad about this shocked golf ball, like this golf ball that fires off like a cannon when you hit it. And people are jumping and hitting the deck and stuff. It gets me every time. I'm sitting there watching it, laughing. So that's partly what Cody and Erica figured out. Like doing a funny thing and get people laughing, it just endears them to you. Mm-hmm. Man, it's good.
I made a video a while back, but talking about going to college or not these days, and I feel like when I was 18 or coming out of high school, that it was like you're just going to college or you're going to stay home and not be successful. You're not going anywhere. But nowadays, and I look back on those days and I made a good network, so I don't regret it at all. But if it was today, if you can just be mindful of your network and get out and meet people and consume the right content and take the right courses, and you can learn. I've learned more on my phone and on my iPad and reading books than I did my 4 years at Tarleton. I would say pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, if you listen to any of Jordan Peterson's content, he'll tell you the universities are poison. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I like Jordan Peterson.
even little old Tarleton and Stephenville here it's changed a lot. It's shifting. It's not, you go up there and it's not just a bunch of kids in trucks and cowboy hats and boots and stuff anymore. It's city people, I guess you'd say, are coming there now.
Well, it's just people that I feel like their opinion, their experience in life is way disconnected from agriculture, raising food, working in the outside world. I think a lot, not that that's bad, but we just have to wake up and realize that's just the truth. Hey man, that's an hour. Actually, let's see, we've been on the mic for 59 minutes and 23 seconds. Crockett, you drove all the way over here to sit here and have this conversation. Y'all, TCP Nation, do me a favor. Go, I'm like picking that Brad Lee dropping bombs deal. He's always like, all my dropping bombs faithful, go hit this guy up. You know? So it's funny how you will copy people that you pay attention to.
Right.
And let's give all those guys a shout out, because we talked about Bradley, Patrick Bet-David, Hormozy, Ryan Pineda,
Gary
V, anybody else that comes to mind right away. Go watch those people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're huge. They're very wealthy from a monetary standpoint, from a free time standpoint, from all these things. And I think if you want to be like that, that's who you need to pay attention to.
Right.
That's who you need to go get around.
Reverse engineer it.
Yeah. All right, sweet. You got any last things you want to say?
I don't think so.
All right, y'all go check out Crockett Carothers. Damn cool cowboy name right there. Later.